Following Christ is one of the most repeated expressions in the Christian world, but it is often reduced to something superficial, like attending services or using religious symbols. However, Jesus was clear when he called his disciples, "Come." Follow me was not just an invitation, but a call to a radical life transformation. Following Christ means leaving behind old patterns, placing Jesus at the center of every area, and acknowledging him as Lord. In Matthew 16:24, Jesus declared, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross and follow me." This shows that following Christ is not only about believing his words, but living according to them, even when it requires sacrifice. It is a decision that demands surrender, faith, and willingness to live no longer for oneself, but for the one who died and rose again for us. When Jesus called his first disciples, they left nets, boats, and even family to follow him. This gesture illustrates that following Christ requires absolute priority. It does not mean that everyone must abandon jobs or homes, but that Jesus becomes the main reference in our choices. In Luke 14:33, Jesus said, "In the same way, those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples." The call is radical because he does not ask for just part of our lives, but the whole. This should not be seen as a burden, but as liberation. For only when we place Christ above everything do we find purpose and true freedom. Following Jesus means living daily with the awareness that we belong to him and that our decisions reflect this surrender. Following Christ also means walking in obedience to his word. Jesus said in John 14:23, "Anyone who loves me will obey my teaching." The true disciple not only listens, but practices. This involves loving others, forgiving those who hurt us, seeking justice, and living in holiness. Many times, this path goes against the current of society, which values selfishness and self-promotion. Following Christ is choosing a lifestyle that points to him, even when it is not popular or comfortable. It is not just a label, but a visible testimony. Those who follow Christ allow their lives to be an open letter, read by the world, revealing the love, grace, and truth of Jesus. Another central aspect of following Christ is carrying one's own cross. This does not mean seeking suffering, but being willing to face rejection, persecution, and difficulties for his sake. The cross symbolizes death to self, to disordered desires, and to life without God. Paul declared in Galatians 2:20, "I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me." Following Christ, therefore, is living this reality daily, allowing God's will to prevail over ours. It is not a call to comfort, but to commitment. It is a path of renunciation, but also of deep joy, because whoever loses their life for Christ's sake will find true life. Following Christ also means trusting him in every circumstance. Being a disciple is depending on him, acknowledging that without him we can do nothing. Jesus compared the disciple to a branch connected to the vine. Only then is there fruit. This reminds us that following Christ is not only a human effort, but a life led by the Holy Spirit. He strengthens us, guides us, and enables us to live as Christ lived. That trust produces peace in the midst of storms, hope in the midst of suffering, and courage in the face of challenges. Following Christ is not walking alone, but walking hand in hand with the Master, knowing that he will never abandon us. Finally, following Christ is participating in his mission in the world. Jesus sent his disciples to preach the gospel and make new disciples. The true follower of Christ does not keep the faith only for themselves, but shares it with love and compassion. Following Christ means being light in the darkness, salt in corruption, a living testimony that he transforms lives. It is not only about receiving blessings, but about being a blessing. This call is for everyone, regardless of age, culture, or social status. Following Christ is the greatest adventure of faith we can live, for it is walking daily alongside the one who is the way, the truth, and the life.